it was not until the responsibilities of high school that I was no longer able to work around my deficits, and those started to be apparent in the form of grades. The deficits were apparent in other arenas, not only how much time it took me to pursue those grades, but also an inability to make time for really any other personal pursuit. It was, the exertion of effort was not holistic. It was very one-dimensional. It was very oriented to school. Because I understood the importance of doing well in school, I'd made that a priority, and I did whatever it took to make good enough grades until I couldn't do it any longer, and which caused me not only some personal duress, but also motivated me to get the help. I do recall a lot of eye strain, headaches, difficulty focusing, difficulty reading in continuous lines, a lot of gargling of individual characters and lines within a text. I remember having poor motor control. I knew that things like my gait and my balance were different than other people. However, I could not articulate that, and I could not really pinpoint a specific difference.
Because he used to walk like Frankenstein. I felt like I had a little his coordination. And as I think back to when he was even smaller and in a preschooler, I would try to lay out puzzles and things. Daniel would never puzzle. It was too frustrating, and he just said, of course kids say they don't like it, right? So, different things like that, those kind of activities, he just was sorting. If you sent him to his room to go and get something, he couldn't scan and sort and get what he wanted. I'd be back there retrieving him, 10, 15 minutes later.
I thought that I was different, and I knew that individual discrepancies were normal, and to an extent, I didn't even identify these struggles as negative. I identified them as something, the way I was, the way it was going to be, that I didn't know how other people found things in a cluttered room so quickly, but I knew I couldn't do it. I knew that people could play sports, but that I couldn't do it. I knew that people could draw, but I couldn't do it. So it wasn't something that I identified as a problem. And it wasn't something that I ever identified as something that could be changed. Until Evan identified certain things, and Dr. Hopkins was able to crystallize those for me.
Yeah, I really like the way you said that, because that's the way I looked at it too. I just said that, well, sports isn't going to be his strong suit. And as you listen to Daniel, you hear that language is his strong suit. So you just take it for granted, and you just say, well, this is what I've been dealt. And he did learn to read. He was reading at a normal age, just before kindergarten, and we had our simple books, and we read out loud, and he did do that. And it was somewhere around 4th grade or so, I saw his reading comprehension scores starting to decrease. I remember talking to the teacher about them, and was told that, well, that's pretty normal. Kids start to take a little dip in their reading comprehension about that time. And the headaches and the things that Daniel Paul told you about, he never once came to me, ever, and said that he was having these problems.
I thought it was legitimate. I thought that when you read, you get a headache. And that if you don't try hard enough, you're going to be skipping lines. So focus, pull it together, focus on the line, try harder. Well, as it turns out, as I learned with Convergence and Divergence, you don't try harder, you try less. And that's how one reads. But it's never something that I identified as a problem or something worthy of reporting. That was my ordinary experience,
Right,
just
and I
like the
remember-
differences in my gait. I thought that was an ordinary experience, and it wasn't really a problem. If I wanted to change it, I could invest some degree of effort, and perhaps it would change, but that's not the way it works.
Great, thank you so much.